This is the 8th in the sequence of videos on simultaneous equations, and you'll see here we're now going to start introducing more advanced methods. So the early videos gave an introduction to simultaneous equations and the simple solution methods that you might come across in schools. The following videos are going to look at methods which are more useful for larger problems and if you're going to use a computer. And in fact, many typical problems that you come across in real life are not amenable to pen and paper solutions. We're going to start with some simple problems to illustrate some concepts and limitations, and then later on, in a few videos time, we'll get to the computer efficient methods such as Gaussian eliminations. First then, some concepts. What happens if you want to solve for a single unknown? So we've got an equation something like this, ax equals b. What possibilities do we have? Well, the first possibility is that a is not equal to 0. So if a is not equal to 0, then I can easily write the solution as x equals b divided by a, or a inverse b. And the key point is there is a unique solution for x. However, what happens if a equals 0 and b equals 0? In this particular case, there are infinitely many solutions for x, because you could put in an x value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, and it would still satisfy this condition, ax equals b, because a is 0 and b is 0, so there are an infinite number of solutions. Finally, what happens if a equals 0 but b is not equal to 0? Then in this case you're going to find you've got an inconsistency. You're going to find you end up trying to solve 0 equals b. So in this case, x equals b has no solution for x. So you'll see here 3 different types of scenario. 1, a unique solution for x. 2, infinitely many solutions for x. And 3, no solution for x. Now the key point here is that not all simultaneous equations have unique solutions or indeed any solution at all. So before attempting to solve your simultaneous equations, you should first ask yourself, does a solution exist? However, sometimes the test for this is easy and other times it's less so. So let's give some examples now. So we're going to try and solve 2 equations in 2 unknowns, which you'll be skilled at by now. So they're the 2 equations. So a standard technique is multiply the first equation, there's the first equation, okay, by d, and the second equation by b, and then subtract. So if we do that, you can see I've multiplied the top equation by d, the second equation by b, and then if I subtract one from another, I end up with this. Brackets AD minus BC times x equals ED minus BF, or in other words, I can solve for x. Alternatively, I could multiply equation 1 by c and equation 2 by a and subtract, and I end up being able to solve for y. Now, what do you notice about these 2 solutions? What would you do if AD minus BC was 0? Can you see that this AD minus BC has appeared in the denominator? If that was 0, what scenario have you got? No solution? Infinite number of solutions? Well, we're not going to answer that, but the key thing is that you're aware there is a question to be answered. So here's an illustration of 2 simultaneous equations which have no solution. We've got 2x plus y equals 3 and 4x plus 2y equals 8. Now if you subtract twice the first equation from the second equation, you will end up with 0 equals 2, which is inconsistent. So what that tells you is you cannot solve both of these equations at the same time. In other words, there is no solution. Now, if you do a plot, you'll see that we've got 2 parallel lines, and therefore it's clear that these 2 parallel lines never intercept. But more to the point, if I write these using my coefficients a, b, c, d, so a is 2, b is 1, c is 4, and d is 2, what you'll notice is that AD minus BC is 0. So because this condition has given me a 0, I know that I've got an issue. I have not got a unique solution. And in this case, you can see it from the graph. So, solving two equations in two unknowns. We could have a unique solution, or we could have no solution or an infinite number of solutions. In general, it's quite complicated to clarify exactly what we've got in terms of two. So we're not going to look in this series of videos on this issue here of have you got no solution, have you got an infinite number of solutions, and how do you define that. What we're going to focus on is what happens when there is a unique solution. And so in this case, there's a unique solution if and only if AD minus BC is not equal to naught. And you can see in terms of these expressions at the top, it means that these denominators are non-zero. Now we're going to come back to this in a minute. So next, using matrices with simultaneous equations. One important application of matrices is for the solution of linear simultaneous equations. So you'll see here I've got two linear simultaneous equations, and I've represented them in matrix form. So you'll see the matrix A times the matrix X equals the vector B. You'll see the top row corresponds to this first equation. So that's the top row of my matrix expression. And the 3x minus 5y equals 1 corresponds to the bottom row. So hopefully you know enough about how matrix multiplication works to see that that is self-evident. Now, this means I can write my simultaneous equations as AX equals B. And I can solve it by writing X equals A inverse B. Now, we'll come back to defining how you work out A inverse in a few videos' time. But for now, you can see the principle that assuming A inverse exists, you can write for the solution for X by inspection. So, just a little exercise. Put the following simultaneous equations into matrix form. So we can do this pretty much by inspection. So I just write the coefficients of the equations, 5 and 6, multiplying x and y. So that's the top row, equals minus 1. And then the second equation, x minus 3y. So I get 1x minus 3y equals 2. Now if we look at these three simultaneous equations, what I'm going to do is define my structure first. You can see I've written my brackets to see what's going on. So first, take the top row. So I'm going to have multiplying a vector x, y, and z. So in the top row I get 1x, 2y, minus 1z equals 3. In the second row I get no x, minus 6y, plus 3z equals minus 4. And for the final equation, I get 20x, 13y, minus 4z equals 10. So we're going to expect that you can take linear simultaneous equations and write them in matrix vector form. So now we want to look at the importance of the determinant of this matrix. You'll see we've defined a matrix A using the coefficients that are on the x and the y. And we're going to look at the determinant of this particular matrix. Now, you remember earlier, if we wrote these simultaneous equations as ax plus by equals e, cx plus dy equals f, we said there's a unique solution if and only if AD minus BC is not equal to naught. Now let's look at this matrix A. There it is. And you remember from the videos on determinants that the determinant of A is given by AD minus BC. And what do you notice? It's the same expression. So what does this tell you? You have a unique solution if and only if the determinant of A is not equal to naught. Now here we've shown that for two linear simultaneous equations. In fact, it carries across to any number of linear simultaneous equations. So what's the explanation? Assume the linear simultaneous equations have been represented as ax equals b, and the solution is given therefore as x equals a to the minus 1b. You can get that by writing a to the minus 1ax equals a to the minus 1b, and clearly a to the minus 1a is the identity. Now, the matrix inverse is only defined if the determinant is non-zero. So this solution here is only defined if A inverse exists, and A inverse only exists if the determinant of A is non-zero. If the determinant is 0, then either you have no solution or an infinite number of solutions, and we're not going to investigate that, but you just need to know, check, is the determinant 0? So let's see how we can solve our system of equations using the matrix inverse. So given the inverse is defined like this, A inverse is 1 over AD minus BC, and then you'll see the rest of the matrix up there. Let's take a set of equations. So x plus 2y equals 4, 3x minus 5y equals 1. I find the corresponding A matrix, which takes those coefficients. So A equals 1, 2, 3, minus 5. I take the right hand side, which is 4, 1, and produce this B vector, 4, 1. I now substitute A into this formula here to find A inverse. So that's what we've got here. And you can see, therefore, that A inverse is given by this expression here, minus 1 over 11 into minus 5 minus 2 minus 3, 1. And so all I need to do now is I can solve for x by multiplying this matrix by my v, which is 4, 1. And that will give me my x. So I'm not going to do that number crunching because it's a bit tedious. The key thing is you see the principle. So here's a different example for us to solve ourselves. So solve the following: 4x minus 3y equals 2, 5x plus 2y equals minus 1. So the first thing I do is write these in matrix form. So I get 4 minus 3, 5, 2, that's my A matrix, times x, y, equals 2, 1. Now, if this is my A, then A inverse equals, and you'll see I've given you the formula up here, and you'll see the D, which was in the bottom right, goes to the top left, so I end up with 2. The A, which was in the top left, goes to the bottom right, so I end up with a 4 down there. The B and the C stay in the same position, but change sign, so I end up with 3 minus 5. And then I've got to divide by AD minus BC, which in this case is 4 times 2 minus minus 15, so that gives me 23. And now I'm going to multiply by my x, which is 2 and 1. And so therefore my x is going to be given by, so I'm not going to bother taking out the 23, I'll just leave the 23 down there. So we get 2 times 2 plus 3 times 1. Have I done that right? Hopefully I have. So that's going to give me 7, and minus 5 times 2, which is minus 10, plus 4, which is 6. So assuming I've not made any silly mistakes, you'll see we've now got 7, 6 over 23. What about this system? Can I represent those using matrices? So I can. I'm just going to do it quickly. So you get 3, 1, minus 2 from the top row, minus 1, 2, 3 from the second row, 2, 1, 4 from the third row, times x1, x2, x3 equals 4, 1, 2. And now what I've got to do is define the inverse of this A matrix. Now I'm not going to do it slowly because it's a slightly tedious job. So I've given you the answer here. Here's the A inverse. And now all I need to do is multiply that by this B in order to solve for x. And again, you'll see later there's only a unique solution if the determinant of A is non-zero, which here it is. So in summary, this resource has introduced the concepts of simultaneous equations having either a unique solution, no solution, or an infinite number of solutions, and it's shown that you can represent the equations using a matrix vector format of the coefficients. Assuming you've got the matrix vector format, the solution can be defined with the matrix inverse. So that's a key point. So what's going to happen in the next videos is we're going to look at how you might compute matrix inverses and some other methods.